Hello and welcome back to another episode of Come and See. I'm your host Mariam Nagy, and like you see this time we actually have 5 people in the studio. We have Amgad with us here, Sherry, Myrna, and Lena. Our topic for today is one that is relatable to I think everyone of all ages, and it's friendship. We're going to talk about the different types of friendship that we can have in our lives, a little bit about peer pressure, what's the difference between friendships inside church and outside of church, and so on. Let's start with our first question. As Christians, what kind of friendships should we look for?
For me personally, I look for individuals that share my personal values. So, for example, I like to go to church on Sundays. My friends also go to church. But aside from that, it's also about the decisions that you make. Like, when you choose your friends, you look at the decisions they make in their own lives. Do they better your life? Do they make you a better person for knowing them? Do they add something to your life that you can't get somewhere else? Right? And do you do the same for them? Are you yourself a good friend?
So I really like this point because we don't necessarily, as Coptic Christians, we don't necessarily have to have friends from inside the church just to, just to add value to our lives. We could have friends from elsewhere, but ones that do influence our lives in a positive manner. So talk to me, Sherry, a little bit about your daughters, because they're in their teenage years. When you see their friends coming over, what do you usually advise them? What should they look for in a friend?
Again, I agree with Myrna. They should be looking for friends who have the same values. They could be from school, they could be from church, but friendship influence your life, and it can influence your life in a positive way or a negative way. It's very important for them to have friends who have the same value, who that they can trust, that they can be there for them, not like the kind of friendship that it's just to have fun and just hang out, and not when you're in need or you're down. They just don't know you. If you're not fun anymore, they just want to go and have fun, and you're not fun for them at this time. So and they have seen the 2 types of friendship, and they see who was the friend who stuck to them when they needed help, or when they were studying, or when they were sick, or when they couldn't. Like one time my daughter was sick and she couldn't participate in one of the activities, and just one friend who came and sat with her, and she's like, I don't care, I just want to sit with you. And for my daughter to be a good friend to the other person, how she can support them and be there for them. So
okay. So has it ever happened that maybe one of your daughters brought a friend home and you felt like they were not necessarily a good influence? How did you handle it, and how did they take your advice?
Yes, it does happen, and I tell her this is not a very good friend. She uses your friendship and you cannot tell them don't be friends with her, and they will not listen to me, but they learned that by experience. And she always comments, she said, Mom, you're right. She wasn't the right friend for me. So you just pray for them that God may send a good friend for them, a true friend.
I'm good. How have you picked your friends lately?
Well, as I was becoming a teenager, I was always picking friends, and most of them weren't as good as my parents wanted me to be. Wanted me to pick my friends. Most of my friends always wanted something from me, like sharing my snack, or sometimes if I had money in a field trip, to share that with them. They always wanted something. And when we're doing a project at school, they wanted my information. They wanted me to do their stuff for them. And as I was growing up, at Sunday school, they taught me about how to pick my friends. And I needed to pick someone who I can trust, who I can rely on to. And now I've been picking friends more wisely, not just anybody I meet or somebody that seems nice, but now it's more of a relationship than just hi, how are you, or just meeting them in a classroom and greeting them like that. And yeah, and my dad told me something that is really important. If you get a good tomato, a really good tomato, fresh, sweet, and you put it in a box with a few really bad tomatoes, rotten, just unedible, and you keep them there for a day, that good tomato will turn out really bad. It won't be edible. It would just come out rotten and all that. So if you're that good tomato and you hang out with bad friends that do bad things, being a bad influence, you're gonna turn out to be that. But if those bad friends are hanging out with good friends, they don't turn out that way. That good friend is gonna turn into that bad friend. But always choose the good friends wisely. And now in this generation, it's kind of difficult.
So it's very similar to our American bad apple example, but same concept. Lina, your take on friendships, good, bad?
Okay, throughout my life, I've been through so many friendships due to the fact that I've been through the very normal phases of everyone in his life. I've been a teenager, and then I got married. Like after my university years, I got married, and then I lived in 2 different countries, which I ended up here. So throughout this whole journey, I had so many different friends. And I don't think I was lucky with my friendships as I am now, because now I can say that I'm during the most mature level in my whole life, because I'm now a mother, and thinking of all my friends that I had before, I don't think I can even talk to them again, because during school, for example, I wasn't that close to church. And I really picked wrong friends. And my parents were always giving me the advice that these friends are not, they are not that good. And by that time, I was easily following them.
Okay.
Like I was easily dragged by them. So because I wanted to be that famous girl in school and in my class and so on.
Yeah.
So, and the famous group in school was the worst of all the class.
The popular clique.
Exactly. So I was easily dragged by them, and I guess my parents were not happy at all. But as a very stubborn teenager, I didn't of course listen to them at all, and I used to do whatever I wanted to do. But now, as a mother, and then after I got married, my husband dragged me more or got me more into the church and got me closer to the church. So I saw different aspects of life that I never saw during school and never saw during my university years as well. I was not thinking about all what I'm thinking about now, like how to have friends that I can talk to. I was only thinking about how to have friends with whom I've just spent a good time, hanging out, going to nice places, dressing nicely, being famous everywhere we go, and so on. So that's what really was the most important thing for me during my school years and my university years. But now, after I got married, he made me look differently to life, and he made me really feel what's good about the church and what's good about being close to church. And starting then, I started being lucky with having good friends that are not only fun, but also very wise, and that I can share with really good and fun times, but still we can just be an added value to each other's lives. So I really hope my sons won't let me face this hard time as I did with my parents, because I would really hope they would understand that we love them the most and that we really don't want to make their lives miserable. We just want them to be the best.
May I say something really quickly?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Because I feel like we're adults, the 4 of us, almost 5 of us. Yes. Making friends gets harder the older you get. And life itself gets harder the older you get. You have a lot more challenges, you face a lot more tragedy. And when I mean tragedy, I don't mean like getting a C on your homework. I mean like real tragedy, jobs lost, stuff like that. So, and they always say, the friends that come through for you in the bad times show you that they are your good friends.
Yeah, true.
And so I think at this point in our lives, we're looking at those people, like when we face something hard, hardship, tragedy, we really look at the people around us, and it helps us determine, is this person here for me? Are they not here for me? What is that? And that helps you choose your friends better. And you'll find that maybe somebody who was your friend yesterday is not your friend tomorrow. And that may seem like a tragedy at the time, but really it's more of a blessing. Because even though you may only end up with 1 or 2 really close friends, they'll never leave you.
Yeah, true.
And if they haven't left you yet, they're not going to.
That's an excellent point. And I would like to segue from that and talk about something that I've often heard, which is friendship is give and take. Do we agree with this?
Absolutely.
Of course.
I have often, and maybe there are different levels of friendship. There are those that are really close to you, maybe ones that aren't as close, but you still see them every Sunday at church, and there are the ones that are at work and so on. But so I've heard 2 schools of thought. One, that friendship is give and take, okay? So you're both putting something in this friendship. And some people that said that in their friendships, they kind of do good and just throw it away. They don't think about it again, and they don't expect anything in return. What are your thoughts?
I think it could be the same.
Okay.
I feel like you naturally give in a friendship. When somebody needs you, you're there for them. And you naturally take in a friendship because also when you need them, they're there for you. I don't think you necessarily expect it from that other person, or rather like let's say Christmas. We don't necessarily expect gifts from that other person, but they give us gifts in other ways.
But what if that person is not giving you the same, they're not giving you the same actions or feelings and so on as you've given them? What happens then? So is this no longer about friendship? Is this no longer a good friendship?
I guess it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter
so-
like how much you give and how much you receive. It doesn't have to be the same. It depends on what type of person you are and what type of person they are. So they can be really good friends and they can really love you so much, but they are not used to, or it's not, they don't know how to give, or they don't know how, they lack this. And that can be the reason for a lot of things that happen to their lives, a lot of things that happen to the way they've been brought up. So it doesn't really matter. As long as you know this other person loves you, or your friend loves you, you don't have to think about how much I gave and how much I receive.
Okay.
You just give whatever you have, whatever you want to give, and you don't really think about what you receive from the other side. As long as you're friends, you'll be friends. Just keep your friendship forever without thinking about anything.
So to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here, you've mentioned that a good friend, when you're sick or so on, they will come and they will ask about you and all of that. Is that how we define a good friendship? Because now you're saying that it doesn't have to be the same. I could give and not really receive back. So how do we define a good friendship?
Well, it depends if the person is not there for you because there are some reasons that they cannot be there for you. Maybe even if they don't know how, but they would love to help. Their feelings with you. It doesn't have to be like physically with you, but they're supporting you in some way, or they give you their back and they don't care. Then I don't think this is a true friendship. And you can still be giving to them, you can still support them, help them, but you know that you don't expect. It's not the type of friendship that you want. If they're giving you their back, that doesn't mean that you don't help them. You still help them, but you know that they're not the friend that will be there for you in this time.
So I'm good. You have a friendship in your life that is not necessarily adding value. Do you let this friendship go? Or do you work on it to make it a stronger one? And let's take it to a different level too. If you feel that this is being a negative influence in your life, okay, so this person is not exactly a good friend, do you stop talking to them, or do you try to help them become a better friend?
I have been put in this position before because a friend of mine he's still a friend of mine actually. He's been being a bad influence on me, and
Okay.
many have warned me about him because of what he was doing. And I've asked this to a teacher, and she told me to stay away from him if he's a bad influence, and don't try to improve it, because if you try to improve it, it's gonna be really hard, and in this age you'll convert to doing bad things. And as I was getting older, I actually realized something, and because I've been teaching and all that and I realized this. We are different. We as Christian and Coptic Orthodox, we are different in how we act and who we are interacting with. So if we're interacting with someone that is a bad influence on us, we can try to change them, but that depends on your age, your level of experience, and your level of spirituality. Now, changing them is very difficult, and it's really difficult actually, because I've tried, and he actually tried to change me. Now, he lives right next to me, so that is still hard, and we go on the bus together, but whatever he says or does, I do not copy. I've been friends with him for over 3 years. I do not do anything that he does. I still interact with him, but it is very limited, and I don't do anything that he does. And he's tempting me to do things that he wants every boy to do, because teenagers, man, you gotta do this, man, you gotta try that. No, come on, man, let's go, we're doing this party. I stay away. I limit my interactions with him, and that's how you can survive with this.
Okay, well, thank you very much for all of your opinions on friendship, and please join us for another episode of Come and See.